Hello, welcome to Astro Breeze weekly transits, and we're starting on June 13th. Technically, we start on Tuesdays, but I got to back up a little bit to June 11th because it was such an interesting day. We had, let's see if I have this set right, Mercury moving into its own sign, so it's going to add a little bit of extra Mercury dexterity, impetus, cleverness, because it's been kind of held back for a while. It was retrograde. We talked about this, I think, last time. And then it was, um, when it just didn't get a chance to really excel. So I think now being in its own sign, it's like, yes, yay. It's like the first day off of school, right? So that's kind of like, I think that ultra exuberant energy, no matter what. And then Capricorn just backed into, Pluto just backed into Capricorn. We see here 29 and went to 59. So now we have, it's switching Saturnian roles. The traditional rulers of Capricorn and Aquarius is Saturn. And we're going from, that rebellious, for the masses, let's do it. I'm going to dye my hair and wear my Doc Martens and, just get all into rebellious stuff, spike it out. That was, the Aquarius. And then look at others. Now we've kind of got back into structured Capricorn, the structured part of that Capricorn. And Pluto being there, we're adding that depth. So now we're kind of adding structure to the depth rather than just freewheeling down the pit of no return. I like to think about it. So that started. So two big things, two planets changed signs that day. And that's always energy motivating. And then we also had then Mercury trining Pluto. So that was in effect. And then it went back to that, and it's still in a trine. So that adds a little extra, mercurial look over to, an out of sign, I should say, it's out of sign trine, over to that Pluto's stuff. All right. And Venus square Jupiter. Where is it? Venus. There's 5 Jupiter and 5 Venus. That was exact right there. There we go. So we had a little fixed sign conundrum, and then with the dexterous Mercury going into its own sign. So it was a little bit of a quirkiness there. And then, of course, the moon going right into Aries. And then right there at this time of day, that was just making a nice sextile over to Mercury. So interesting. We start with all that energy into kind of coming in, the week, and then Sunday, Monday, and then Monday. Actually, I'm going to go to today because whoops, it's moving fast. Okay, I wanted to go Monday. Okay, so we still going through Monday. Yesterday was, we still have the Aries moon. That's coming around, and then today, Tuesday, they always a lot of moon aspects, but interesting other aspect. We have Venus in an is that the right way to say it? In an in conjunct quincunx 150-degree irritating angle to Saturn right there. 7 degrees Leo and 7 degrees Pisces. So they do not have a lot in common. We got mutable Pisces and fixed Leo and exuberant Leo and spacey Pisces. And that's, Venus really wants to be where Pisces is at, though, because she's exalted in that sign. So there is a little bit of an affinity, jealousy, sort of like, I want that. Um, it's also tied to obligations. It's like, she feels, obligated. Can't do that. Obligations and duties. We have to do stuff. We got to clear up our plate before we can really move ahead in certain areas. And then this is also some very strong emotions, because you got that depth in Pisces, and then Venus on stage, you're wanting to be there, where Saturn's at. So it's a bit, it's a bit rough, that one. And that one's today, but that one will be leaving today, because as we go to tomorrow, you see, Saturn is now almost stationary, and you'll see that by the end of the week it'll be retrograde, but it's been here at 7 degrees, but Venus is now passing that. And it's like, okay, I'll just do it. I just got to buckle up and do it. So that's going to be happening. And then it'll be mainly moon aspects. And then we come into, let's see, we're going to look at Mercury. See, now Mercury's flying in its own sign here. And big one, there we go. Thursday, I might jump around a little bit with these, but Thursday, again, there's a lot of moon aspects. I want to get on the big ones this week. So Mercury, I'm sorry, back to that, is now making a square over to Pisces. Another, another square, but it's a mutable square. So this is kind of a wishy-washy square. We got that, Mercury, it's kind of a minor annoyance. It's like Mercury there in Gemini, and then Saturn in Pisces. It's like Mercury's like a kid going out the door, and then the mom's going, "Did you get your jacket in your lunchbox?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, no, crap, I got to go get it real quick." It's just like kind of a minor little, it's not that heavy because it's a mutable square. Nonetheless, it's a square. A square is a square. So that could lead to a few ways. We could have um you got to be careful you don't say the wrong thing for one thing. Um you got to watch the worry and anxiety that it is, and the pessimism. We've got that little bit of pessimism and that little nitpickiness there. Um or it could be studious and maybe profound or deep, like into occult or esoteric or mysticism. Um, that could be, that because that Pisces, energy there, and Saturn is structure, and then Mercury is so acquisitive in its own sign. So it could be like going to the library and then getting into the 300 section, into all the good books. So that's that one, and it's like that's kind of interesting. And then just kind of look to see where it is. Look to see where the Pisces Saturn is. You should know already in your own chart, and it's going to be stimulated by the Mercury. So you'll go, 3 signs after it. Just say this was your chart. The Saturn would be in the 7th house, and that would be kind of stimulating 7th house matters. Maybe you and your significant person take are into a study mysticism course, and then Mercury is now, up there in the 10th house, and maybe one of you has to do a talk about it at workplace or something. I don't know, just so you see where it's making uh that square or that structure over to that in your own chart. Okay. Well, that's very interesting, right? So then now we see Mercury is going to be involved again, and we go ahead and let me go up here. Oop, it's going to go fast. I can't. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Okay, this one is on Saturday, and there's an interesting day. We've got another interesting day. Saturday and Sunday. We're preparing for the new moon in Gemini the next day. But anyway, we have Mercury here, in its sign, in its own sign, and it's loves to be here. It's at 10 degrees, and then it's making a nice sextile over Venus. So Mercury, had to do some serious look at things, and then now it kind of maybe gets that inspired. It's like, okay, I had to put it up front. I had to get it structured, and now it's like, yay, ah, the heavens open, uh, the clouds leave, and you get that nice Venusian blessing over to Mercury. But we've got a kind of a male, that positive energy, that Gemini, that outward inquisitive sign, in Leo, that outward positive type sign. It's like, what I'm talking about. It's that polarities um, within the astrology. So they're making that outward masculine energy. It's not like an inner feminine, and they're, because they're in the masculine signs, or outward or positive. And Venus is this now, you get to shine that light and have some inquisitive mindset on that. So Saturday's a real good day for that kind of thought and investigation, or um, digging in on what your values really are, structuring your money, making the connections. That's all that outward positive stuff there. That's very, very good. It's very important coming up. And you see Saturn over here starting to, slow down totally. It's stationing here. It'll go retrograde soon. And then we're rearing up, closing in on this end of spring energy. And then let's see, I want to do this. Let's see what I have it at 11 a.m. Let's just go to It's going to be just past. Okay, let me go back. I want to get it. We're going to have to go by hours. Let's do it so we can get it lined up nice. Almost. There, it should be 26 degrees. There we go. Sunday, real early. Look at this. That's East Coast time, 6:40 in the morning. Let me go back to days. I'll be like, what am I doing? Okay, so we're right here at the spring new moon. The new moon is at the end of Gemini, and we're at the end of spring. We're right about, right the very beginning of our next week session will be right on, the next day will be the equinox. But we're building up to this. So we got the new moon in Gemini. What is that? Um, so we've got that newness now in that mutable air sign, mutable air. That's inquisitive mind. That's that ever-changing energy of air. It's like air, double air. So we have the moon emotion in air, like a double air. So this is where the moon gets to be calm, cool, and collected. This is where you put your emotions like on the back burner, and it's all invested in you being on your game, being focused maybe more on the intellect by putting the emotions behind what you're doing, not as the cause of everything, not the wringing of your hands and woeing and woeing. It's more putting it, the energy and the intent, that emotion behind the event. If there's something I want to do, something I don't want to do, and I just got to do it. And once you make up your mind, then it's ready to go. See, we have now Mercury over there. So Mercury is coming into, as it goes through the next day, Mercury will cross over those areas and add its influence to that new moon. So it's really coming up with ideas. Mercury can just come up from behind because you see the new moon, is happening and then Mercury is not quite there yet. Let me go the next day and it'll be closer. And then we now have the moon moving past. See, so the moon is going to go over right there. And then we got Mercury about in the middle of that sign. So Mercury gets all set. And then as it goes over, about 10 days or so, it'll be over that spot where they're at now. So it'll be just kind of coming into that for a while. Okay, so there's that. And then you'll see we have a pretty good bowl chart. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7, kind of 7 houses here, nice full, to the end of them. And, because this is the vertex, it's just a point, and then this is the south node. This is just a point in space. These are not planets. So you can see we have a really nice full bowl chart, right? For the most part. I mean, looking at this house system here and this latitude, but just all in all, it's amazing. So a few years ago, how tight everything was when we had all that oppression upon us. Since I'm on YouTube, I'm not going to go into it. I think anybody listening would know what that was. It was worldwide, so it's world instigated. Things don't just happen like that. But it was so tight. We had such a wedge pattern and we got so restricted. And now things are widening out quite a bit. There's a lot more awareness being had, and right now, we tend to get tightened up there, the chart, as we come around in the wintertime, I should say in the Northern hemisphere. But you could see how it's like over about half the chart, we've got a good span now, right? So we've got 7 kind of that's, bridges, 7 houses, we got more or less. So, okay, interesting. What else we got going on? And then we come into Monday. Oh yeah. Oh, um, we have, let's see, when to say Mercury, didn't we talk about, we talked about the Mercury Venus, didn't we? There's Mercury and that was, yeah. So, yeah, right here, Monday into Tuesday. And it's actually Tuesday. Let's see. Yeah, that it's totally exact. Okay, this is a really interesting thing. This one aspect is in both days, but I'll tell you what's more interesting about it on Tuesday. We have Saturn into a sextile with Jupiter, both in feminine signs. Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces is a feminine or inward or seductive or pulling in sign. And Jupiter is in Taurus, the same. So those are both feminine signs. So we had the two masculine signs or outward energy, with Venus there and Mercury. And now we have these two. And this is interesting. The Venus, Mercury are inner planets and they move a lot faster. And then these two are the, more outer, and it's a, a wider, it takes a longer to get into that spot. So actually take a while because you're going to see, Saturn will be in this sign in here for another 2 years. And then Jupiter will be out of Taurus next year and into Gemini. So then it will instead go from, we're looking at the sextile. Next year we'll see the square. And then after that we'll see the trine, and then thus Jupiter goes around and it'll widen, its yearly connection with Saturn. So right now we've got, last year we had the semi-sextile. This year, you can understand what I'm saying, I hope, because each year Jupiter moves to the next sign and it's going to make pretty much, until Saturn catches up and it moves signs, and then we kind of back up a little bit and it kind of ratchets. But we've got the sextile now. And on Tuesday here, well, you can see it starting here, but on Tuesday, there's only one aspect. The moon, this is what's really crazy. The moon usually makes aspects to things every day because the moon moves so fast, right? The moon is moving very fast. So on Monday, it's still making aspects to things, and I'll go back in a second. But on Tuesday, the whole day, the moon doesn't make any aspects, any Ptolemaic, the more common ones, aspect to any planets. And this is the only aspect all day. And this is really odd on, June 19th and 20th. Saturn, 7 degrees Pisces, Jupiter, 7 degrees. Because we know, it's getting stationary. So this is actually going to stay into effect. You'll see for a while because Saturn again now just turned retrograde. When was it? Did we see the date? It was on Monday. There it is. Okay. So Monday we have Saturn turning retrograde. Saturn retrograde is kind of like pulling into yourself, restructuring yourself, going over things within yourself, basically restructuring different parts of you. You have to look and see where it's at in your chart. But anyway, we can see as I move ahead, and you can see Jupiter is not, it doesn't move that fast. So it's going to be at that degree till, when was it? Just moved there. Till Friday the 23rd. So because these are outer planets, and because Saturn just went retrograde, it's moved slow anyway, but it moves even slower. And Jupiter, it just had to wait for that to get off there. So this is an interesting aspect. So what does this mean? So it's like this, and I think almost couldn't come at a better time. It's like mediation, okay? It's like between warring partners. We see more sides of an issue than normal. There's more steady progress with lasting impacts that people can communicate some things. There'll be important choices to make, and then wise choices. It also is thoroughness in your studies, or more opportunities in your studies. Not as plentiful, but they can prove to be significant. The more plentiful ones would be the trine, but there's still, I kind of like the sextile. It's sometimes the trines get lazy or overwhelming, and the sextile can bring up, maybe not as many opportunities, but something good, and you might have to just take it. You might have to just take it. All right, and let's go back now. Okay, I had to talk about that. I knew I was going to jump over a little bit. And then one more kind of big energy aspect this week is I think I got it lined up. I got the sun. It's kind of Sunday into Monday. Let's just, oops, come on. Oops. Sometimes this goes fast. There it is. Okay, so Sunday into Monday, you can see it was 6:40 in the morning, but the sun in Gemini is squaring Neptune in Pisces. So sun square Neptune, sun square Neptune. Sun is that outer identity, that big identity. It's bright, it's lighting things up. And Neptune is illusion and disillusion and amorphous things and behind the scenes. So the sun in a not so good energy with Neptune is kind of like be careful of deceptions. Be careful of something that looks too good to be true. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And see, and then that's very interesting because that's coming, right after the new moon. So be careful on this one. Use a little discretion because you're going to be getting ideas, things will be coming out. It's the new moon, but beware of things that sound too good to be true, things that may not have the rubber hitting the road, so to speak. Okay, so again, it's a pretty rock and roll week. We've got a lot to pay attention to, and then the prelude of next week, you see the sun. Here it is on Wednesday, 29 degrees. So we go Thursday, and then it moves into Cancer, and on the 21st, 22nd, depending on where you're at, we have the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. Sun moving into Cancer, which we are moving towards. See, it's always like it's kind of like a trapeze. You're moving from one to another. All right, that's it for today, and more to follow. See you all next week.